This is the word to Yirmiyahu from Adonai. Since at the gate of the house of Adonai and proclaim this word, listen to the word of Adonai, all you from Yehuda, who enter these gates to worship Adonai. Here is what Adonai Sevaot, the God of Israel, says. Improve your ways and actions, and I will let you stay in this place. Don't rely on that deceitful slogan, the temple of Adonai, the temple of Adonai. These buildings are the temple of Adonai. No, but if you really improve your ways and actions, if you really administer justice between people, if you stop oppressing foreigners, orphans, and widows, if you stop shedding innocent blood in this place, and if you stop following other gods to your own harm, then I will let you stay in this place. Words that can't do you any good. First, you steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, offer to Baal, and go after other gods that you haven't known. Then you come and stand before me in this place that bears my name and say, "We are saved," so that you can go on doing these abominations. Do you regard the house which bears my name as a cave for bandits? I can see for myself what's going on, says Adonai. Go to the place of Shiloh that used to be mine, that used to bear my name, and see what I did to it because of the wickedness of my people Israel. I spoke to you again and again, but you wouldn't listen. I called you, but you wouldn't answer. Now, says Adonai, because you have done all these things, I will do to the house that bears my name, on which you rely, and to the place I gave you and your ancestors, what I did to Shiloh. And I will drive you out of my presence, just as I drove out all your kinsmen, all your descendants of Ephraim. So you, Yirmiyahu, don't pray for this people. Don't cry, pray, or intercede on their behalf with me, because I won't listen to you. Don't you see that they are doing what they are doing in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather the wood, the fathers light the fire, and the woman knead the dough and makes cakes for the queens of heaven. And just to provoke me, they pour out drink offerings to other gods. Are they really provoking me, ask Adonai, or are they provoking themselves to their own ruin? Therefore, here is what Adonai Elohim says. My anger and fury will be poured out on you, this place, on men, animals, trees in the fields, and produce growing from the ground, and it will burn without being quenched. Thus says Adonai Sevaot, the God of Israel, you may as well eat the meat of your own burnt offerings, along with that of your sacrifices. For I didn't speak to your ancestors or give them orders concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. Rather, what I did order them was this: pay attention to what I say. Then I will be your God, and you will be my people, in everything. Live according to the way that I order you, so that things will go well with you. But they neither listened nor paid attention, but lived according to their own plans, in the stubbornness of their evil hearts, thus going backward and not forward. You have done this from the day your ancestors came out of Egypt until today. Even though I sent you all my servants, the prophets, sending them time after time, they wouldn't listen or pay attention to me, but stiffened their necks. They did worse than their ancestors. So tell them all this. They won't listen to you. Likewise, call to them. They won't answer you. Therefore say to them, This is the nation that has not listened to the voice of Adonai their God. They won't take correction. Faithfulness has perished. It has vanished from their mouths. Cut off your hair and throw it away. Take up and lament on the bare hills. For Adonai has rejected and abandoned you, the generation that rouses his anger. For the people of Yehuda have done what is evil from my perspective, says Adonai. They have set up their detestable things in the house which bears my name to defile it. They have built the high places of Tophet in the Ben Hinnom valley to burn their sons and daughters in the fire, something I never ordered. In fact, such a thing never even entered my mind. Therefore the days are coming, says Adonai, when I will no longer be called either Tophet or the Ben Hinnom Valley, but the Valley of Slaughter. They will be put to death in Tophet, because there will be no space left anywhere else. The corpses of this people will become food for the birds in the air and the wild animals. No one will frighten them away. Then the cities of Yehuda and the streets of Jerusalem, I will silence the sounds of joy, gladness, and the voices of the bridegrooms and bride, because the land will be reduced to ruins. At that time, says Adonai, these enemies will remove the bones of the kings of Yehuda, the bones of his princes, the bones of the Kohanim, the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the graves. They will spread them out, exposed to the sun, the moon, and the entire army of heaven, whom they loved, served, and walked after, sought after, and worshipped. The bones will not be collected or reburied, but will be left lying on the ground like dung. All the survivors of this evil family who remain wherever I have driven them will prefer death to life, says Adonai Sevaot. You are to tell them that Adonai says, if a person falls, doesn't he get up again? If someone goes astray, doesn't he turn back? Why do these people keep backsliding? Why is their backsliding so persistent? They cling to deceit and refuse to return. I listened attentively, but they spoke nothing right. No one repents of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Each runs off to his own direction like a horse plunging headlong into battle. Storks in the sky know their seasons, doves, swallows, cranes, their migration times, but the people do not know the rulings of Adonai. How can you say, we are wise? Adonai's Torah is with us, when in fact, the lying pen of the scribes has turned it into falsehood. The wise are put to shame, alarmed, and trapped. They have rejected the word of Adonai, so what wisdom do they have? Therefore I will give them their wives to others, and their fields to those who take them over. For from the least to the greatest, all are greedy for gain. Prophets and Kohanim alike, all practice fraud. They dress the wound of the daughters of my people, but only superficially, saying, this is perfect shalom, when there is no shalom. They should be ashamed in their detestable deeds, but they are not ashamed at all. They don't know how to blush, so when others fall, they will fall as well. When I punish them, they will stumble, says Adonai. I will put an end to them, says Adonai. There are no grapes on the vine and no figs in the fig tree. The leaf has withered, and what I have given them will pass from their possession. Why are we sitting still? Assemble. Let's enter the fortified cities and meet our doom there. For Adonai, our God, has doomed us. He has given us bitter water to drink, because we have sinned against Adonai. When we took for peace, nothing good comes. When we see a time of healing instead, there is terror. From Dan can be heard the snorting of his horses. When his stallions nigh, the whole land trembles. For they come devouring the land and all in it, the city and those who dwell there. Yes, now I am sending snakes among you, vipers that no one can charm, and they will bite you, says Adonai. My grief has no cure. I am sick at heart. Listen to my people's cry of distress out of the distant land. Is Adonai no longer in Zion? Is her king no longer there? Why do they provoke me with their idols and their futile foreign gods? The harvest has passed, the summer is over, and still we are not saved. The daughter of my people is broken, it tears me to pieces. Everything looks dark to me, horror seizes me. Has Gilead exhausted its healing risen? Is no physician there? If there is, then why is the daughter of my people so slow to recover her health? I wish my head were made of water, and my eyes were a fountain of tears, so that I could cry day and night over the slain of the daughter of my people. I wish I were out in the desert, in some traveler's lodge. Then I would get away from my people and distance myself from them. Indeed, they are all adulterers, a band of traitors, and what they are, they bend their tongues, their bow of falsehood, and hold sway in the land, but not for truth. For they go from evil to evil, and me they do not know, says Adonai. Everyone be on guard against his neighbor. Don't trust even a brother. For every brother is out to trick you, and every neighbor goes around gossiping. Everyone deceives his neighbor. No one speaks the truth. They have taught their tongues to lie. They wear themselves out with sinning. You inhabitant You inhabit a world of deceit. Deceitfully they refuse to know me, says Adonai. Therefore, says Adonai Sabaoth, I will refine them and test them. What else can I do with the daughter of my people? Their tongues are sharpened arrows. With their mouths they speak deceit. They say nice words to their neighbors while inwardly plotting against them. Should I not punish them for these things, says Adonai? Should I not take vengeance on such a nation? I weep and wail for the mountains. I weep and wail for the mountains, and lament over the desert pastures, because they have been burned up. No one passes through. They no longer hear the sound of cattle. The birds and wild animals have fled or gone. I will make Jerusalem a heap of ruin, turn it into a lair of jackals, and make the cities of Yehuda desolate, with no one living there. Who was wise enough to understand this? To whom has the mouth of Adonai spoken, so that he can proclaim it? Why has the land perished and been laid waste like a desert, so that no one passes through? Adonai answers, because they abandoned my Torah, which I set before them, and neither listened to what I said, nor lived accordingly, but they lived by their own heart's stubbornness, and by the Baalim, as their ancestors taught them. Therefore, says Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, I have fed this people bitter wormwood, and give them poisonous water to drink. I will scatter them among the nations that neither they nor their ancestors have known. I will send the sword after them until I have wiped them out. Thus says Adonai Sabaoth, mark this, then summon the mourning women, so that they will come. Send for those who are best at mourning, so that they will come. Have them hurry and wail for us, so our eyes will be wet from crying, and our eyelids gush with tears. For the sounds of wailing is from Zion. We are utterly ruined. We are completely ashamed, because we have left the land, and our homes have been torn down. You women, hear the word of Adonai. Let your ears receive the word from his mouth. Teach your daughters how to wail. Have each teach her friend how to lament. Death has come up through our windows and has entered our palaces. It has cut down children in the streets and young people in the public places. Say, here is what Adonai says. The corpses of people are scattered like dung in an open field, like sheaves left behind by the reaper, with no one to gather them. Here is what Adonai says. The wise man should not boast of his wisdom, and the powerful should not boast of his power. The wealthy should not boast of his wealth. Instead, let the boaster boast about this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Adonai, practicing grace, justice, and righteousness in the land. For in these things I take pleasure, says Adonai. The days are coming, says Adonai, and I will punish all those who have been circumcised in their uncircumcision, Egypt, Yehuda, Edom, the people of Ammon, and Moab, and all those living in the desert who cut the edges of their beards. For although all the Gentiles are uncircumcised, all the house of Israel have uncircumcised hearts.